So guys, the crypto markets are still trading sideways after we saw Iran and Israel pretty much initiate a huge war. Right now we're starting to see President Trump talk about how the United States could be jumping into this and how a trade deal could be, on the brink and it could be happening really quick. But right now the markets are not responding as, good as Trump is. And as a result, right now we're seeing altcoins, crypto, and overall the US markets look quite bad. Moving into tomorrow, whenever the markets open up, a lot of people are anticipating more deviations, but I want to walk you guys through exactly the price action that we're currently seeing and what you need to be aware of so that you do not sell your altcoin portfolio and pretty much just leave the crypto markets in general. But if you're new to my channel, check out the rest of my content. I keep you guys updated on the day-to-day events, price action around Bitcoin, Ethereum, altcoins, how liquidity is shifting, and everything you need to be aware of. Right now, guys, we've seen a whole bunch of, a fiasco happen between Iran and Israel. As a result, we're seeing the price action around Bitcoin, Ethereum, and altcoins and crypto in general, and the markets take massive deviations. Price around oil is shooting up. A lot of different things are happening, guys, and as a result, you need to be aware of what's going on so that you can, anticipate more deviations or, a huge rip up in the next few weeks. So I want to walk you through what we're currently seeing, what you need to be aware of, and exactly what altcoin and crypto investors are saying. Let's jump straight into it. So guys, like how I said, the crypto markets are trading sideways right now. Bitcoin's currently sitting at around 105,000. Ethereum's currently sitting at around 2,500. Bitcoin dominance is starting to rally up, sitting at around 64.69%. I've been talking about how more than likely we're going to be reclaiming that 65% zone in the next few weeks. And based off exactly the price action we're seeing with altcoins, it's probably going to be happening much sooner than later. And as a result, guys, we're starting to see a lot of people reallocate into stable coins, which is why we're starting to see a little bit more of a correction and a little bit of sideways price action as, compared to the deviations we saw last week. And it's just because of the uncertainty in the market, people are starting to reallocate to Bitcoin and stable coins just to hedge their bets while, altcoins and Ethereum are volatile and trading, up and down. But the biggest things that are affecting everything is the Iran and Israel, fiasco that's taking place. President Trump is talking about how Iran and Israel should just make a deal. And, at the end of the day, they probably are just going to make a deal, just like how you got India and Pakistan to make a deal. Trump says many calls and meetings are now taking place. But then, a little bit later, President Trump goes on to say that, there's a few different things that are currently taking place and how a deal could be struck in really quickly. But Trump says that he stated multiple times that a peace deal is possible, but at the end of the day, we're starting to see multiple different things, fluctuate as opposed to a deal coming through. As a result, the futures, are going to be opening up quite soon. And we're seeing predictions around, oil prices rising towards $100, which is not looking quite well. On top of that, this is where we start looking a little bit more into exactly what's happening with, the geopolitical tensions. And this is where a lot of people are anticipating more deviations for risk assets in the next few weeks, just based off of what we're currently seeing in the market. So this is going to be super key, guys, to let us know if we're going to be seeing more deviations, especially if we see more escalations in this war with Iran and Israel. Now, Benjamin Cohen talks about, altcoin and Bitcoin pairs and the price action that we're seeing, and he was calling for more deviations. We talked about it multiple times on this channel, but now we're currently seeing that hit in terms of where we were going to be hitting with specific predictions. He says alt and Bitcoin pairs have now hit the 0.32% zone, which seemed like the most obvious short-term target. I still think the eventual target is 0.25, but it has been a long journey. So at the end of the day, he thinks that we're going to be hitting down to this yellow line that you can see right here, guys. And if that's the case, altcoins are going to be getting squeezed much more. And if that's the case, if you are scared, you should be potentially hedging your bets, maybe moving into stables and, de-risking a little bit. But someone like me is still dollar cost averaging, just waiting for the price action to return. At the end of the day, nothing is actually set in stone. Justin Bennett gives his perspective on exactly Bitcoin and where we're at and where we could be headed in the next few days. He says Bitcoin is on track so far. Thought we might hit the 103,000 zone, guys, but ultimately I'm looking for Bitcoin to fill the 106,000 imbalance. We'll see what we get from there. As mentioned last week, I'm only interested in shorting strength while below 107K. So if we hit that specific zone, guys, this is going to let us know exactly if we're going to be deviating or if we're going to be ripping up. But if we hit that specific zone, more than likely we're going to be seeing deviations pretty much just based off of returning to that area of liquidity and that imbalance, and then from there returning a lot of the gains. So if this is the case, guys, buckle up and get ready for deviations. Now, CryptoCon talks about previous cycles and what we've seen and how it compares to currently right now. And I think a lot of people, have, front run this cycle, invested into altcoins a little too early. And as a result, a lot of people are calling for the end of altcoins or don't even think it's going to be happening. But right here, CryptoCon talks about how, according to the time between cycle bottoms and cycle tops, about 152 weeks, which is where we see that, specific fluctuation in time zone, the Bitcoin cycle top will be in October of this year, guys, which is quite soon. We're pretty much already in June, so July, August, September, October. That's 4 months away. Now, if we've got about 21 weeks or 5 months until we get there, how are we shaping up so far? Other cycles have already completed their first cycle top by this time, and we're preparing for the final run. Some people are under the impression that the cycle can extend into 2026, year of the bear market, because of the slower price action. Most data seems to favor that the cycle will be complete by the end of this year. Let's see what October brings. More waiting inbound. So at the end of the day, guys, we truly do not know. Based off of previous cycles, we should have already hit specific zones, and we haven't hit that yet. Really points to the fact that more than likely we might be, pouring into 2026 when we see the altcoin cycle actually take place. But right now, all eyes are on October whenever we actually start to see the full rally. Now, this is where Crypto Missional gives us some great perspectives in terms of, if you're investing in altcoins just like myself, what you currently should be doing right now. And he says the cycle has shown that the glory hunters aren't successful. People leave the markets of altcoins and crypto as they are underwater. Coals leave the space as the easy money grabs are over. I fancy those things. It becomes more complex, and only the persistent, consistent, and patient people will come out of it as being the big winners. And this is really big, guys. Right now, people are done with crypto. People are done trading. People are done investing into altcoins. People do not think the altcoin cycle is going to be happening at all anymore. And it's just because people do not have patience. They, are not focused on other aspects of their life. And as a result, they're just staring at their altcoin portfolio and it's deviating, and they just do not know what to do. And this is where you need to be keeping up with the price action, the day-to-day events, and overall exactly how to position yourself around that. And one of the biggest things you can do yourself as a service is having some patience. Now, there's only one task if you're holding an altcoin portfolio like me and like a Crypto Missional, and even yourself. Have patience, nothing more. Find something in that period to entertain yourself. Altcoins, guys, are going to get the price action that they deserve, but it's all going to be in due time. The macroeconomic events have to align correctly, and on top of that, we need to see liquidity moving back into Bitcoin, and then from there pouring back into Ethereum, and then altcoins, and so on and so forth. But it's a process, and if you're not willing to wait for that process, you don't deserve the huge rally that's going to happen at the end of it. You got to be willing to understand what goes into all this stuff, and if you don't, then at the end of the day, you're going to capitulate your bag and pretty much end all of this. But swiping everything to the side, guys, right now the crypto markets are trading sideways. We're seeing mixed headlines from Iran and Israel with Trump, and exactly how the United States might be intervening into this. As a result, we're seeing the U.S. futures take a hit, the crypto markets are taking a hit, and everyone's anticipating more deviations before we see a huge rip up. Me, guys, I'm dollar cost averaging. At the end of the day, I still have a 9 to 5 that I have to focus on. I have my family, I have this YouTube channel, I have a lot of different things that I have to focus on and do my own due diligence on, as opposed to just look at my altcoin portfolio every single freaking day. I think the best thing that you can do is learn more about how price action moves, the news events that have an effect on price action, and then from from there, just learning everyone's perspective and what's valid and what's not. From there, you just need to wait for liquidity to move into it and focus on other things in your life. I think there's a lot of different moving parts in the crypto space, and a lot of people capitulate their bags from trying to ride every single wave. And as a result, guys, they never actually see the full cycle that they deserve. But I think this is where you can separate yourself by learning more about the information that has an effect on the market, and then from there learning about how liquidity moves. And on this channel, I show you guys all that information. I dropped some recent videos talking about how liquidity shifts, also specific altcoins you should focus on, and exactly mistakes, and a few other different videos that you should be looking at. So if you're new to my channel, go ahead and check out the rest of my content. I drop day-to-day information around the price action around Bitcoin, Ethereum, altcoins, how liquidity is shifting, the news events, and exactly what you need to be aware of so that you can position yourself correctly. Guys, the markets are pretty boring right now. Everything is trending sideways. We're waiting for more data and information from the Fed, as well as overall what's going to be happening with Iran and Israel. On this channel, I keep you updated with all that information. So stay tuned, and hopefully, guys, more than likely, you're going to be seeing price action move back into altcoins. But you need to be keeping updated with all this info. And at the end of the day, if you guys have any questions or suggestions around anything that you see, drop it down in the comment section down below, and I'll be sure to get to it. But overall, I drop day-to-day content every day, so stay tuned, and hopefully I catch you guys tomorrow. Peace.